Okay. I think my voice is like my cooking. I never know how it's going to come out. So this is the third part for me on this series of, about fear. And this one for me was, what I had done is looked at kind of three more prevalent types of things that I saw coming up in my life over long periods of time. And this one is about getting stressed out. And so I've been able to spend some time looking at that. And so I guess my first question is really, what is going on? Really, what is going on then? And so if you find yourself kind of getting all stressed out, I think it's really helpful to slow down, first of all, and then, because there's so many different kind of situations and particulars that can be going on. But I think it's helpful to realize that it's, in some ways, I would say a little bit of a dangerous kind of mental state. And the reason I say that, and this is where I think the fear comes in for me, is because usually when you're stressed out, you're kind of discontent and unhappy. And that state of mind can lead to some bad consequences when it grows. You can get quite angry. And for me, that was one of my fears. Like when I first introduced this, I remember thinking, like, I might just burst. Well, what's that about? Well, that's kind of like this kind of like pressure cooker inside where you might be fearing anger. But what I found actually was more of a fear for me was the fear of giving up. And I think that's why they call it stressed out, because you're going to go out some way. You're burnt out, which is, I think, is like the worst case scenario of that. And I remember when I was working, I used to, you go through your different phases, and I always thought, wow, if I ever get burnt out, I'm going to really not stay on with things. Because what I realized about that state of mind is that you don't care. And that's really not a good way to be going about your endeavors. But I think that's a little extreme. I think stressed out, for me, is a little, usually not quite fried yet. But and I remember years ago learning something about it from, somebody gave me like a psychology book, and they talked about how you have these good qualities, but you're using them in excess. And so you're kind of getting out of balance because and I thought about that because I used to, it was kind of useful at the time, but I thought, well, the times when I get stressed out, I usually start off with kind of like a enthusiasm and a willingness about something, about a project or something, or something, an endeavor, some kind of endeavor. And when I thought about this more, I thought, I don't think those good qualities actually are in excess when I get burnt out at all. I think they've kind of, I feel like what's more happening for me is I've not been taking care of myself. I've allowed myself, a big share of it, allowed myself to kind of not be mindful about how I'm taking care of myself and working and endeavoring. And then really, I'd say the initial motivations are kind of lost at that point when I feel stressed out. And so what I find helpful is, in the midst of, when I'm aware of that, is really kind of decompress, back off from things, get a bigger view and a bigger perspective about things, and do the things I need to make the whole situation more harmonious, both within and whatever the circumstances are around me. And so I think that what leads to it a lot of times, I think, is really, I kind of break it down into how I'm taking care of my body and how I'm taking care of my mind. And in terms of the body, I've used this for years and it's always helped me, which is, and I've refined a little bit, but I always make sure when I feel stressed out that I just get my pattern back of getting sufficient sleep, eating wisely, and exercising daily. And for me, that takes care of a lot right there, because I'm not spending so much time doing whatever I was doing, because a lot of times I'm just kind of too focused and spending too much time, and I've gotten things out of balance. But then there's the side of the mind, and I think for the short term, like when you're right in it, I think it's really helpful to do things that are very calming, and that can be many things for many people. So for me, it might be even for mentally to take a walk, do breathing meditation. I find quite calming. But I think the main thing is to try to, in the longer haul, is to get yourself more balanced, really look at what's going on, and then try to go back to your motivations and create a sense of delight in what you're doing. Part of that delight might be in the delight of just giving, and getting out of any kind of self-centeredness, because that's usually pretty revved up when you're feeling stressed out. So I think that for everyone the circumstances would be different, but just going back and getting yourself really calm and trying to figure out what's going on, and that's in the midst of it all. I think it's pretty hard to do. It's better to let things mellow out when you have a much calmer frame of mind, and then try to figure things out. And then I guess that the last piece, and I think this is where a lot of this, I think the Dharma is a lot more maybe useful in a way, for me. And part of it is recognizing that there's, for instance, say you're trying to do something virtuous, and then you get all stressed out. Well, then if you're going to give up, you're actually throwing out something that's actually going to be beneficial for yourself. And this is, I think, the thing that's, to me, just feels like what's happening in that moment is what I would call active ignorance. It seems to me like in my state of mind, there's a lot of confusion going on then. And I think that's actually kind of a dangerous thing, because I think that to throw out things that are going to be good for you in the long run is not, really what we want to be doing. So I think it's better to, the ounce of prevention is worth the pound of cure. So I hope that's helpful for somebody.